Hey, it has been forever since I have spoken to y'all. Life has been lifing, and I'm afraid to admit I have just wanted to tap out. So much has been happening the last few weeks, and I've just been trying to go with the flow and keep moving, and catch my breath. I'm headed to the vet right now to go pick up my cat's memorial package. We had to euthanize her a week ago, and that was not really expected. She's, I would say, 16. I got her from the Humane Society 14 years ago, and at the time she had just had kittens, and they estimated her to be about a year, maybe year and a half. So she lived a good life, but we had to say goodbye. Didn't want her suffering. I noticed she had lost a lot of weight, and it was interesting because when I took her to the vet, I hadn't regularly taken her to a vet, I'll be honest, or to the vet. I don't know, I just, as kids, we never did that with our cat, and our cat was an indoor-outdoor cat, but I took her so that they could do a quality of life exam, and she had jaundice, and I could see in the inside of her ear where the vet showed me, and it was yellow, and she didn't know if it was, obviously, when you have jaundice, it's something to do with the liver, and she didn't know if it was the liver or if it was maybe her gallbladder then causing a liver issue. But when she did the exam, she felt a mass in her abdomen, and with her being as old as she was, I was not going to try to do any testing or anything like that. My main concern was that I just did not want to have her suffering, and she didn't show like she was in any pain or anything like that, but I noticed that she would be vomiting, but I attributed it to hairballs because it wasn't consistent, but it was happening more frequently. And so I even introduced wet food with her kibble to try to give her a little more moisture, and then oil to just help with her coat and things like that. So all in all, we just made the decision to say goodbye. And I also did it the day before my son went back to school. We moved him in last Thursday, a week ago today, and that was an ordeal. We got up there to his apartment, got the keys, went inside to begin moving things in, and his apartment had not been clean. I was just wait a minute, and I was livid. And let me tell you about counseling and growth. I handled it very well. I didn't yell. I was stern, but I didn't yell. Talking to the office, the property manager, and she was a little irritating because she later admitted that this is her first turn, and the turn is when the old residents move out, and they have a month from the time that the old residents or people who aren't renewing their lease, they move out July 20th, and then the new incoming students, tenants, move in August 20th. And so I was just floored that you guys don't do apartment walkthroughs to verify that the apartment has been clean. And so she was like, well, you've only been here 12 minutes. We're calling the cleaning crew, and it'll only take them a second. And I was like, that really isn't comforting to me, because it should take them more than a second to clean this apartment, because it's an entire apartment. She's like, well, there are 12 of them, and and she was like, well, you aren't the only one that this has happened to. And I'm thinking, ma'am, that's not helping your cause. And quite honestly, I I try to be thoughtful of other people, but at this point, like, I don't care about what others, what has happened with others. And so I'm asking about concessions for my son, because you guys gave him this date, told him between 1 and 3. Here we are after 1 o'clock. So you didn't deliver on what you were supposed to do. So I was pissed. And she was like, well, he got a concession. And I said, are you talking about the free month's rent in October? She said, yeah. I said, well, everybody got that if they signed their lease within 24 hours of getting it. That was your incentive. That's not a concession. So she came over to the apartment with me because I wanted her to see what it was. And it wasn't like a mess. Like, it was kind of gross because it hadn't been cleaned, and there was food in the oven, crumbs, like nothing out of the ordinary, but it looked like it had been lived in and it hadn't been cleaned. And I was just not pleased. And I think because there just seemed to be a lot of chaos. She was calling the cleaning crew, talking to maintenance, and there was just a lot going on. And they have, I think, 7 different complexes at that are owned by this property group or whatever. And so it just seemed like a lot of disorganization, and not the way that you want to be starting your new lease as this is his first apartment. And I was like, so long story short, I said, I'm gonna go to Walmart, I'm gonna get some cleaning supplies, and I'm going to clean this apartment. She was like, well, the cleaning crew is on the way. I said, you've been saying that for 20 minutes. You were talking about me only being here for 12 minutes. Like, we're working it out, which should have already been done. I'm like, I'm just gonna get it. And because I also needed to just kind of burn that worked up energy. So that's what I did. And we all cleaned. Myself, my husband, my son, some of his friends came over that aren't even rooming with him, and they were cleaning. And so it was really a blessing to have all of us be there and his friends to show up like they did. So I was like, hey, I will, get you guys some Chipotle, because Chipotle was having a buy one, get one if you wore your Ball State apparel. I walked into Chipotle at about 5:25. I had never seen a line like that before. And I was like, okay. So I just stood there, got the food, and they actually gave me the buy one, get one. So I was really, thankful for that, because for like 5 entrees, chips and guac, and 5 drinks, I only spent $50. So not bad. Just talked to the fellas. Then we went back up on Saturday, and Evan's roommate had moved in, but his door to his room was locked. And so I asked how it was when he got into it, and they said it was clean. So I don't know what had gone on, but it looks like they're gonna have a great year. The 2 friends who helped him move in were at the apartment along with another guy, and I think they had a sleepover, and so I think that might be the spot. I checked in on Evan today just to see how things were, and he FaceTimed me. And so when he FaceTimed me, I noticed both of his hands are wrapped in gauze. I was like, Evan, what happened? He said, oh, Mom, I had an accident yesterday. I was like, what? So I'm immediately thinking he burned his hands or something, taking something out of the oven or whatever. No, homie bought an electric scooter and just got it a couple of days ago and busted his crap. Okay, he said the brakes are really good and I overcompensated, and so he braked and apparently flew off the scooter and slid and hit his hands. I said, Evan, I was like, do you have a helmet? He's like, I didn't hit my head or anything. I said, you probably need to get a helmet, son, because you could hit your head and suffer traumatic brain injury or something, concussion. I mean, I was like, Lord. baby, but oh my goodness. I said, okay, I can't let those thoughts and things worry me. But that's what's been going on. And so finally, I feel like I can focus on myself a bit. Like, he's up and back at school, and I can, you know, get focused. Because I was talking to another girlfriend earlier this week, and she called to apologize because she felt like the last time that we had spoken that she was all over the place. I didn't pick up on any of that. I felt like she was like her normal self. But she said, you know, this, like, she said, you ever been talking to somebody, you just been in a fog, and you just, I said, yes. She's I don't know, maybe 5-6 years older than me, so she's in the peri, about to graduate into menopause. But yeah, so that's it. And I realized, you know, life has been kind of heavy for the last month or so, and I realize when it's heavy, I don't have the creative juices, and I feel like I don't have anything that I want to post about, you know, because I don't want to come on and be like, oh, woe is me, and you know, airing all my dirty laundry or anything like that. But it's not just me. I feel like we're in a season where a lot of people are wanting big change and wanting to come out of a storm, have been battling a storm for an indefinite period of time, and they're tired and they want, you know, some relief. And it can be very overwhelming, you know, very disheartening at times. I'm here at the vet. Go in and get this memorial package. I'll be back. So this is really nice. They have the pet funeral home, Loyal and True by Luce Funeral Home. It's interesting. Oh, here's her little paw print. Oh, and it's got her name on the back. Some cards. Little velvet bag. And let's see, what else do we have in here? Did they do? Oh, look at that certificate of passing on this day, August 19th. Our beloved Harley. Oh, I'm about to cry. I gotta put it away. I have an interview tomorrow, and so I'm prepping for that. I'm, you know, trying to get back into the workforce, but still do the entrepreneurial thing on the side. And I feel good. I feel confident. I feel like it's what I need to do for right now. And I think that will help with my overall continued healing and growth, and then provide some other you know, financial relief, the benefits, be back to contributing to a retirement fund, things like that. So I'm excited for it and grateful for the opportunity to interview. So things are, you know, they're looking up, and I've tried to record many videos over the last couple of weeks, or edit, and I just have not been in that space. And that's where I've been, you know. Life has just kind of felt heavy, and you know, and it gets like that sometimes, but I have to remind myself and remind others that this too shall pass. You know, it may feel like it's never ending, that, you know, it's overwhelming, that you just don't know where to begin. You know, and it's an unsettling feeling, you know, but each of us is going through something, and each of us is going to survive something. As long as you have the mental fortitude, you know, learn to give yourself permission to feel all the feels, to be in your rut for a moment, but don't get comfortable and don't stay there. I think that, you know, you'll be just fine. It's, you know, when you just lose hope, and that's big. And that's something that I'll say, that even though life has felt heavy, I have not lost hope. It's just been like, I just want to focus on myself. That's all I've wanted to do. And I felt guilty for saying it, but it's the truth. And I just have to, you know, give myself that grace, show up when I can, when something is, you know, maybe gonna cause me some stress or affect my peace. Then I have to set that boundary. And, you know, it's a learning experience, but the more that you do it, the better you get at it. So I appreciate you guys for being here with me, and, you know, hopefully I can get back into sharing my life and my journey with you. So thank you for watching. I will talk to you soon. Take